Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. I would like to start out by reminding everyone that this meeting will be live streamed. As for policy number 7, regular and special meetings of the board may be streamed live, archived, and accessed online. The board reserves at its sole discretion via motion at any meeting the right to not stream live or archive a meeting or portion of a meeting. Further, the board reserves the right to edit any recorded portion of a meeting. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Langley Board of Education at 7:00 p.m. I would like to first acknowledge that the Langley School District is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsqueak-Pontland, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. We gather here tonight in an understanding of the importance of Yayistil, Skekiyais working together, and Natsamat, Letsamat, uniting ourselves with one mind, one heart, to ensure that we support and inspire all learners to reach their full potential. I'd like to start out as well by welcoming everyone here this evening. First of all, we have this evening Trustee Neufeld on my far left, Trustee Fox, Secretary Treasurer Brian Isley, myself, Chair Candy Ashdown, Superintendent Mal Gill, Trustee Holly Dickinson, and Trustee Tony Ward. We also have with us this evening Deputy Superintendent Woody Bradford, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Langeberry, Assistant Superintendent Marcello Molino, Assistant Secretary Treasurer Shind Chand, Director of Communications Joanne Abshire, Executive Assistant Judy Swanson, Technical Support Specialist 3, Paul Baboa, Technical Support Specialist 2, Jeff Fresco, District Principal, Aboriginal Education, Mike Pugh, District Principal of HR, Kevin Reeves, thank you. DPAC Vice President, Rebecca Harden, LP, actually, and also from DPAC, we have Member at Large, Cheryl Santer, and LPVPA Representative Sean Juteau, as well as LTA Vice President Kimberly Miller. Welcome, everyone. We have a couple of announcements before we start our agenda. First of all, with regards to National Indigenous History Month and National Indigenous Peoples Day. The month of June is recognized in Canada as National Indigenous History Month. During this month, it is essential to recognize and honor the rich cultural heritage, history, and contributions of Indigenous peoples in British Columbia and across Canada. This month provides an opportunity for all of us to deepen our understanding of Indigenous cultures, traditions, and the significant impact they have had on our society. It is time to celebrate the diverse cultures and histories of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples, and a chance to reflect on their resilience and strength. By engaging in educational activities, attending events, and participating in discussions, we can foster a greater appreciation for Indigenous worldviews and perspectives. As part of National Indigenous History Month, June 21st is recognized as National Indigenous Peoples Day. This day holds a particular significance as it coincides with the summer solstice, a time of cultural importance for many Indigenous peoples and communities. It is an opportunity for us to come together in unity to celebrate the vibrant traditions, languages, and contributions of Indigenous peoples, and to reaffirm our commitment to building a more inclusive and equitable society. On behalf of the board, we hope that you will take the opportunity to learn more through story by reading Indigenous literature or watching Indigenous films, and by exploring and engaging in events or conversations with others. We hope that you will join the board as we take time this month to reflect, learn, and celebrate the rich cultural heritage of Indigenous peoples. Also have an announcement with regards to Pride Month and anti-racism. The district is acknowledging Pride Month during the month of June. This month is an opportunity where we celebrate the freedom to be ourselves and show off our colors. Throughout this month and throughout the district, staff and students are holding school-led activities and events to recognize Pride Month and our 2S LGBTQIA+ community. Pride events are celebrations of the progress the 2S LGBTQIA+ community has made, but also a time to recognize how far we still have to go to achieve true equality and inclusion. Report from in camera. Okay, sorry about that. We weren't sure if I did the stream live, but I'm pretty certain I did. Call it to order. Yeah. So report from in camera, we discussed personnel and property. Trustees, you have the consent agenda in front of you. Could I have a mover, please, that the consent agenda be accepted as provided? Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Ward. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The agenda this evening you have in front of you as well. Could I please have a mover that the agenda be approved as presented? Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Neufeld. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Superintendent's reports, 7.1 Annual Truth and Reconciliation Update.
Thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce District Principal Mike Pugh to share with us a report on the Annual Truth and Reconciliation Update. This being his last formal presentation as District Principal, I do want to acknowledge the tremendous amount of work that Mr. Pugh has put in to support Truth and Reconciliation, to support our students, the program. We often talk about leading with our heart and our mind. Certainly you exemplify that, and I would say you lead probably more with your heart, absolutely. And we've been lucky to share your learning, our learning together. I will miss the daily interactions at the school board office, but I know that Walnut Grove Secondary is lucky to have you as a principal. So thank you so much for your work.
Itzwail Siam Inasiea, Itzapuelio, Ta'athasim Kwang Kaminam Kun, Slana Weathanuk, Sesmalak Plisqui, Tiniak Kwantlan, Anthemike, Tinithanak Langley, Iatanatamo, Shmethguyath, Squantlanath, Skateziate, Semiamath, Nasteo, Heluk Tilashwello and Quitsneets, Quitsnala Tanat Whale, Heitzepka. Good day. Respected ones, friends, how are you all doing? I'm excited to be here. It gives me great feelings to be here and to join with you. And I think I would be remiss as we talk about the territories of the Matsqui, the Kwantlen, Katzie, and the Semiahmoo people if we didn't take a moment to recognize an incredible celebration today in Matsqui territory. And that is the official celebration and signing of the Lacamel Sumath Mathqui land return. 60 acres of land returned to that group who is working, and it is around St. Mary's Residential School in Mission. And so it has been returned to the stewards of the land since time immemorial, who have done incredible work to continue to take care of the land and the community, and to look now at ways that they can take and utilize that land to support the community further. So I wasn't able to make it out there today to be part of it, but I did want to recognize for them the incredible piece of reconciliation of having land returned to its rightful owners and stewards. As I framed today's presentation, it's around the learning lenses of the First Peoples Principles of Learning and the Aboriginal ways of knowing and being from the BCTF. And so really keeping it to these ones of involving, learning involves patience and time. It's embedded in memory, history, and story. It involves recognizing the consequences of one's actions. and it requires an exploration of one's identity. Or as they comes out in the Aboriginal ways of knowing and being, learning is a journey that takes courage, patience, and humility, and important teachings emerge through stories. And the deepest learning takes place through lived experiences. It requires exploring our identities, learning from our mistakes, and having gratitude for our gifts. And I know Chair Ashdown talked about these two principles. She opened the meeting today, but these are the guiding principles. The more and more I've been involved in this work and what it really is important to the work we do. That first being Skeko Yais or Yayastal, working together. We can't do great work in this district on your own. We require a team of people who come together and come to the table to do the good work. And when you come to that table, you come together under that idea of Latsamat or Natsamat, one heart, one mind. And as I've shared before, that one heart, one mind can be all of us coming together under that one understanding, but sometimes it's about yourself. It's about how do you get out of here and into here. As I went back to prepare for this presentation, I looked at previous ones, and one of them was from Chief Marilyn Gabriel, who said, we've got to do more learning and working out of here and less out of here. Get out of here sometimes and get into here. And that's really the piece. How do we connect those two? So it's not about getting out of one and into the other, but how are we fully connected at all times? So as I said, I had lots of time for reflection on 7 years in this role. I went back and looked at some of my original presentations. And I would be remiss if I didn't start by recognizing Brenda Matthews, who was a support worker. Here it goes, Mike's gonna cry. Who taught me that we need to be more humble, more laughing, and more loving. And I think of all the people I've had an opportunity to work with in the program who've retired. They had the audacity to leave. Now I'm understanding what happens when you leave. And for all the people who are still there in the program, who will continue on to do the great work, I've had an opportunity to learn from each and every one of them. To the leadership and friends at Kwantlen and Catesy and Matsqui and Semiahmoo, where I've had opportunities to learn and sit alongside, where they come alongside me when I've made mistakes. And I will be honest, I have made mistakes, but they lifted me up and they walk alongside and we do this good work together. And so I can't start a conversation about truth and reconciliation without honoring the beginning. And that of the work of Sequia, Josette Danderand, her son Wayanuk, Luke Danderand, and Cecilia Riki, who went to Ottawa in 2015 for the release of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report, who came back from that experience and said, this is something that the district needs to move forward on. Our staff had been to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Vancouver in 2013, 2014, and there was work being done, but it was really from here, bringing this back, moving the district forward. And we can't sit here and talk about where we are today as a district without honoring that beginning piece. And so I am eternally thankful to those three individuals and all the others who influenced them along the way. And it led to these reconciliation plaques. And we've talked before, to me, it's a great example of our own learning, our journey as a district. That in 2015, we put these up as symbols of the commitment. And what we've learned since is you can't have reconciliation without truth. We've talked about the word that's missing from those plaques. And we've also had lots of time to reflect together, that piece of Yayastal, around that these plaques are not just the part. It's not the end piece. In fact, it's the starter. It's the reminder of the work that needs to be done. And so when I go into the schools and I see these plaques, it's a reminder for me of all the important work that needs to still happen, not all the great work that we've done. It is that push to continue to move forward and to learn more. And part of the learnings I've had, and I continue to learn every day. I'm lucky in my job, and I learned today. We heard directly from the nations that as a district, we have moved forward in great ways around truth and reconciliation. But we've done a lot of learning where we've asked others to come and do the teaching. And we are ready to take that next step. We are ready as a district to not ask individuals from the local nations, from Métis, other First Nations, Inuit peoples to come in and share their experiences. We are ready to call them in to be witnesses. Witnesses to the work that is happening every single day. Witnesses to the conversations and the learning that is happening between staff and students and families that goes beyond the classroom. And so I think it's important to reiterate that piece from our meeting today, that we as a district are ready. It's going to be difficult. It's going to feel risky, but great work is happening in the classroom. I could spend hours standing up here talking about every single thing that's happening in the classroom, but you don't want to stay here that long. We want to go home and see our families. And the fact is that reconciliation isn't an event. It's daily work. It's work that you do for yourself to learn more, to understand more. It's through conversations you have with others. It's in the way we engage on a regular basis as a district, as schools, as leaders within the work we do. And so I was going through, as I said, I went through all my PowerPoints, and I come back to this one from Chief Robert Joseph. This is from his TED Talk. And he talks about what reconciliation really is. And I think it sets up the evening and the presentation well.
We stand in a moment of the greatest promise that I've ever seen for this country. A moment where we can reflect upon our relationship with each other, to learn to honor each other, to respect each other, to hold each other up. Reconciliation really, at the heart of it all, is this idea of love, of loving yourself, of loving others. And we all can be driven by that as we try to determine what reconciliation looks like and where and how and when it will start. So I invite you down this pathway of reconciliation. Reconciliation isn't just for Aboriginal people and churches and governments. It's for all of us. And so we need you. We need you to be a part of this great dream, this idea that we can live together in this country, together as one. I see that it's going to happen. All you have to do is get ready, prepare yourself, engage, talk about it around a dinner table, talk about it where you work, talk about it wherever you are. And let's make this issue a topic that is important for all Canadians. One day soon, we will have achieved a country that is reconciled, where every kid has the dream that, not dream, where every kid knows that they're important, that they're valued, that they're loved, and that they have a future in our great country. What else can I say? Nothing. You who are one with me. Weekends, nothing. Let us get together so that we can start this journey of reconciliation. Thank you.
Where every child knows that they belong, that they are loved, that they are cared for. And that is what is represented here in the enhancement agreement logo. The child's spirit at the center, protected by the hands from the ancestors, the knowledge of the ancestors, and those reaching out to them to form this circle of care. So as we talk about reconciliation tonight, I want to include this work of the enhancement agreement because it's really about how do we ensure that kids know they are loved and they are cared for. And what we heard in our conversations with students over and over again was the need to belong. That belonging is at the heart of their education, at the heart of what they need. And that to achieve that, it came down to those three principles of safe spaces, relationship, representation. And I'm going to completely mess with my own PowerPoint at this point. Because as I sat and I planned it out last night, I was probably thinking too much out of my colonial side. And I went, here, let's talk about relationship. And what I realized as I reflected on it this afternoon as I was preparing is you cannot break these stories down I'm going to share into its individual components and reflect only on one. It is a holistic approach. And so each of these stories we'll talk about and we'll share here is about how do you create relationship, representation, and safe spaces within the work we do. Let's talk first about an activity involving Stallou Arts and Cultural Society and Langley Fine Arts. And I give credit to our incredible communications team who bailed me out last night as I suddenly had this idea of what I wanted to share and got me the video links and the incredible work they have done to put these stories out. And so many of you may have already seen them, but I want to come back to highlight this incredible work.
We've worked with the Langley Fine Arts School previously to have some conversations around the topic of residential school warriors and families and children that didn't come home. And this year we shared this project as a way for people to participate and heal together to create a community-based mural.
Teachers have been bringing their classes down and everybody's taking turns getting an opportunity to put some paint on the canvas. Anytime we can do something experiential, something hands-on, that's going to stay with the kids a little bit longer, right? They're going to have that opportunity to connect what they've been hearing in their classrooms and learning about from their teachers and their community, and then getting a chance to give back. And kind of, because there's a lot of times the students are like, well, what can we do about this knowledge that we have now, right? So getting the opportunity to know that their heart and their work that's going into it for them is going to go back to the community. And I think that's been a really important piece of this project, is knowing that we can give something back to the community.
Powerful example of relationship between the school and the community. Representation through bringing in local artists and their work, allowing the kids to see themselves in the work. That piece now is then taken away by Stallou and it hangs. And I've suddenly blanked as to where it is, but it's there in that spot. But it's the work of the kids who came in and felt safe to be part of that work. We've dealt into incredibly uncomfortable conversations. There is nothing for me that is more heartbreaking and difficult to sit in than the idea of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. As I think about my own daughter, my wife, and to see strong people like Cessmalot, like Carly Lepisto from Lower Fraser Valley, who at the march shared their stories. their experiences, but also how proud I am to see so many others come out to join that piece. A walk that started a few years ago with 30 people, mostly staff from Lower Fraser Valley or from the Aboriginal program, in the rain, to now this incredible march through downtown Langley. And just another incredible example of the relationship and connection between the district, program, Lower Fraser Valley, the community, coming together around important pieces. And then there's this example from Betty Gilbert.
Throughout the generation, I think a lot of this history was glazed over, and now the truth is starting to be heard. And reaching out to the younger generation and ensuring that they know the proper history of Canada is so important. I think to better understand where we're heading in life, we need to know where we came from. And to have empathy for one another, we need to know each other's history, because it's a shared history. My goal is they take what they heard here today and it generates a little curiosity to dive in and research things themselves and share what they've heard. I think children are learning a lot more, and when they head home, hopefully they'll share that with their parents and so on and so forth. And yeah, just spark the curiosity in learning what truly happened.
Great example from Betty Gilbert, where they were like, what do we do? They were honest with that. We're not sure what that next step is. And they asked, they took that healthy risk. And somebody came alongside and was willing to say, hey, you've got an idea, go with it. So what you saw there was an assembly that started, followed then by a community walk. And the power to see all of those students from Betty Gilbert in quiet reflection as they walked around the Aldergrove area after hearing the words from the education coordinator, Melissa App from Mathwee First Nation. Now let's talk about an experience at Donna Gabriel Robbins Elementary.
It was a beautiful way to kind of celebrate the school and the community and what we're attempting to grow here.
Having Brandon here to explain his artwork was just the piece that put it all together. So it was a wonderful experience. For him to make the owls is very, very special, because that is what Donna chose as the mascot for the school. So and the wisdom that the owls bring along with that.
I think having the kids involved in a day like today does a couple of things. One, it does bring that sense of community. Like, this is not just about just the art, it's about the whole community in the school coming together. The other piece is, for me, is it served as a tremendous learning opportunity for the kids to understand the processes and the protocols that go that are involved in celebrating someone like Brandon. I think it goes a long way to taking steps towards that truth and reconciliation, and kind of what the actual goal of that was to be.
Once again, taking a healthy risk. I think if you speak to most administrators and they said, we're going to have an honoring ceremony for somebody, they'd try to keep it within a box. And here's how I know how I'm going to do it. And to that team who was willing to say, we're going to turn it over to the support worker and to the others. And he talked there about the protocols and the processes, but wanting to make sure it was a good piece, an honoring piece. It is a journey of patience and time with those house posts. 2.5 years of patience and time. But they are there when they're meant to be there. And they are incredible, not just pieces of artwork, but standing reminders of what used to be a common tradition here, what stood as a welcoming piece for those who have been here since time immemorial, a way to honor those past traditions and to bring in the teachings to that group of students who maybe wouldn't necessarily get that. I'd be remiss if we don't connect back to the beginning. And Josette Danderan, one of the first individuals who came into our district and shared her story, being a residential school survivor, who gave a little piece of herself every single day to help students and staff have a better understanding of what had happened and to ensure that that doesn't happen again. And what an incredible way to honor the work of this Kwantlen elder, to an incredible cultural presenter in the program, and someone I had time to learn from. And I'm honored for that piece. And I certainly know from working with her son that the family is incredibly honored by that. And to recognize those people who've done great work who are from here and include that within our district is incredibly powerful in the reconciliation. And finally, I share the educational piece for everybody else. And then there's a quick little story to when we finish this video. But just to provide some understanding into one of the many ways we all come to do further learning together.
We are working towards the work that we've been doing in Langley for many years around truth and reconciliation. And we've spent a lot of time in the district focusing on the truth. And our goal with the Odyssey conference in the last couple of years is to continue to talk about the truth, but also to celebrate and acknowledge the vast diversity and wonderful things that the Indigenous cultures have to offer. And then the other piece, obviously, it's a day of professional learning about how to embed Indigenous content into your classes, or whether it's some of the workshops around, there's a lot of workshops around tech and building tech into that. The hope is that in addition to focusing on that Indigenous focus, which is so crucial to our district, is also learning something, whatever your role is in the district, that's going to help you professionally become a better employee and be better at your job, which is going to be, in the end, better for kids, all kids, and that includes Indigenous students in our district.
One of the most powerful moments for me was with the dancers, and I had 2 staff members who came up to me after and said, that was the first time I saw my culture here. They're from elsewhere. But to see themselves represented here in the work was so powerful for them, so connecting to the work we do. And as Director of Instruction Kozlovic highlighted, while it's not necessarily during that time that everyone took an Indigenous focused workshop, they were taking workshops and learning with each other on skills that are going to be beneficial for all students, and really ensure that we get to those safe spaces in our schools. And so if we look forward to the work, as I step away from this role, if I can leave you with some of the things I've had the opportunity to learn, and I continue, you've probably seen this one before, but this comes from a student at Aldergrove Community Secondary School on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, who says, care about knowing more, even when you think you've heard it 1,000 times. Listen, hear, learn. There is healing in the telling of our histories, and reconciliation is in the willingness to learn and to listen. So if we once again bring it back to the beginning, and that piece for our district about taking those next steps to bring people in to witness our learning, we all need collectively together to take those moments to go forward and learn. Some of that learning was pushed forward by our experiences after hearing about the 215 and the many, many more that we've heard about since. And that rock at the middle that says, never forget. That, to me, is one of my driving forces to why I need to continually learn more, why we need to continually do better. And if we want to learn, for me, it's through professional reading. This works for me. It may not work for everybody. But you've got to find, how are you going to learn more without asking Indigenous people to give of themselves to help you learn? And this is where hearing these stories, reading these books, and I won't go into detail on all of them because we just don't have enough time tonight. And there are other ones. And not all of these, just like the learning from Odyssey, Not all of these are directly connected to Indigenous education, but I know from having read them that they're certainly going to help. They are going to provide a framework for learning and understanding in supporting students. But ultimately, in the end, I would be remiss if we don't end here with Kevin Lamoureux. Because just as Chief Robert Joseph set us up in the beginning, Kevin sums it up perfectly in the end for us.
The ultimate goal of Ensouling Our Schools, the ultimate goal of that book that Jennifer wrote that I have a small part of, I can summarize it for you like this. The same way I've done in the past, I'll do it again. The whole purpose of that book is to create the kind of school environment where kids can come into that building and go and know that they're safe. To know that this is a place of safety and a place of belonging. That where schools in British Columbia were used as weapons against kids, our schools can be places of healing. Places where our children know to hold their head up high with pride and dignity. Places where our children know that they are loved unconditionally. As Yuri Brofenberger has said, to love unconditional our children. And to look in a mirror and to be able to love who they see and what they see. And to be proud of who they come from. And you'll notice I didn't say Indigenous kids, I said all of our kids. Because if I understand the teachings of the survivors, those that gave us this gift of reconciliation, we're only doing reconciliation the right way when all of our children are able to experience safety. Okay? When all of our children are able to enjoy a sense of belonging, a sense of safety in our schools.
All of our kids experiencing safety and belonging in our schools. And when we do that well, we end up with this. Over 80 students who came out that night. And understand, I'll be honest, we have more Indigenous grads than just 80. But it is the most we've ever had come to that night. We had to send people back to the office to get more blankets. Made it just in time. But those are 80 students that we've made a difference for. 80 students who stood up there and held their head up high with pride, with dignity, knowing that they had a plan for the future. Those are 80 students who are now going to go out into our community and make an incredible difference. And so I'll leave you with that. Haitsepka CM, thank you for all your work. I look forward to continuing the journey with all of you and all my relations.
Trustees, do you have any questions or comments? Trustee Dickinson?
I sure do love listening to you talk. You always wind us on these incredible journeys. And I think the word that comes to mind is captivating. When you speak, you're captivating. And I know that you're going to take that and with everything that you've learned and embody around Every Child Matters and bring it to Walnut Grove and do so many amazing things there. They are so incredibly lucky. I am selfishly sad because I'm going to miss you here, but go forward on your journey and I can't wait to see what you do with the new position. Congratulations.
Trustee Fox?
If I didn't say something, you wouldn't go home. You have one more task to do before you leave this building. You know what it is. Is it going to happen? He made me a deal. And we'll see if the deal comes true. But no, Michael and I share a very unique relationship. I love the work you've done. Thank you.
Sorry, trustee Fox, thank you.
Any other trustees? No? I wrote a little something too, because I wanted to make sure to just, let you know my thoughts as well. And I've been fortunate enough to sit with you, Mike, on the, you're still now Indigenous Education Council. I have to stop calling it committee. I've just council. And so I've been so fortunate to be on that as the trustee representative. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for all of the hard work that you've done in this role. And you've been, I'll get emotional too, because I just think you're pretty awesome. So you've been very inspiring. And okay, you got me going earlier now. And so I just wrote a few things down. So forgive me if I'm kind of looking over here, because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And your dedication and leadership in our district for our Indigenous and our non-Indigenous students has been, and staff and families, has left a lasting impact on our schools and our community. I have no doubt about that. And as a non-Indigenous person, I want to thank you personally, because I've learned so much from you. And I carry that learning with so much gratitude. Here we go. You sure I don't want to stay? You've helped open so many hearts and minds, and I believe that your influence will be felt long after you transition into your new role. My goodness, I did not think I would be this bad. Well, I know that we'll find someone amazing to carry on this important work. There's no doubt you've set the bar incredibly high. Congratulations on your new role as principal at WGSS, but you will be so missed, but we're excited for you on what your journey ahead. And they are so fortunate, that school community, to be receiving you as their principal. So thank you so much for everything. Okay. Trustees, could I please have a mover for the motion? Sorry, get myself together here, that the Board of Education receives the update on the Truth and Reconciliation, for information as presented. Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Ward. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you so much. All right, moving along to school calendar amendments. Not quite as little boring compared to what we just had. So I will pass this back over to you, Superintendent Gill.
Thank you. We have District Principal Reeve here this evening. There's just a small adjustment on one of the calendars, and he just wanted to be here to explain the adjustment for trustees.
Superintendent Gill. Outstanding, Mike. Thank you for that. And thank you for all the learning that I've got from you and from the Aboriginal Department. We really appreciate it. You will be missed. For the school calendar amendments, in order to align through the district, I missed a date change for the Langley Education Center as we aligned. So we'd all have a school improvement day on September 29th. The Langley Education Center has traditionally had their school improvement day in January, just after the winter break. And in order to do that, when we made the adjustment to have the district aligned, so we would have school improvement day on September 29th, we needed to make an adjustment. So the Langley Education Center would start on the Monday, January 5th, as opposed to Tuesday, January 6th. So in previous years, the LEC students had returned from winter break on the Tuesday because of that professional development day. So in the 25-26 calendar, when we made that adjustment, I forgot to move the calendar dates back in January to compensate for that. So this is the calendar that was in the board report, and you can see the adjustments there. So we align as a district for our school improvement day in September. And the recommended board motion is that the Board of Education approves the amended school calendar for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Thank you. Trustees, do I have a mover? Moved by Trustee Fox. I should read the motion though. Sorry, I just flipped forward a second here. that the Board of Education approves the amended school calendar for the 2025-26 school year as presented, moved by trustee Fox, seconded by trustee Neufeld. Is there any discussion or on the motion? No. All right. Can I have a show of hands for all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you so much. Great. Moving over to you, Secretary Treasurer Isley, 8.1, 2025-26 annual budget bylaw. Third and final reading.
Thank you, Chair. As trustees will recall, at the May meeting, we went through in detail the the annual budget, and that budget has not changed. And we are here tonight for the third reading. Just briefly to remind trustees, the just over $315 million in revenue with expenses of just under $314 million. We do have a slight deficit of $1.5 million that we do have accumulated surplus to fund. This slide here shows where those funds will be coming from our restricted amounts. The $808,000 from future budget, that's an ongoing cost that we have a structural deficit currently. The $720,000 for portables is obviously a one-time, and we have accumulated surplus to fund those things. For tonight, before we can approve the third and final reading of the budget bylaw, we'd need trustees to approve a motion to appropriate those funds from restricted surplus to balance the amended budget, and then the reading of the third budget. And with that, I hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Do any trustees have any questions or comments? No? All right. I just wanted to actually say quickly, just thank you and your team, Secretary Treasurer Isley, for all of your hard work on this year's budget. I know it's getting more complicated as everything gets more expensive and the money isn't coming in to match that. So I just wanted to thank you for all of your hard work, and I know going forward we're hoping next year to have more conversations with the province and hopefully try to make this so that we don't keep going in a backwards position. So thank you. Can I please have a mover for the first recommended motion that the Board of Education direct staff to appropriate the following restricted surplus amounts to balance the 2025-26 annual budget, internally restricted to balance future budgets, $446, internally restricted for student capacity needs, $720,000. Moved by trustee Fox, seconded by trustee Neufeld. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. The next recommended motion, can I please have a mover that the school district number 35 Langley annual budget bylaw for fiscal year 2025-26 in the amount of $408,629,794 be given third reading, passed and adopted on the 17th day of June 2025. Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. 8.2 capital projects update 2024-25. I'll pass this back to you, Secretary Treasurer Isley.
Thank you, Chair. Tonight, wanted to share an update on some of the capital projects that the district is currently undertaking. We have 7 capital projects currently on the go, and I'll be going through those and have some pictures of some of those for the trustees and for the public. Start off with Peter Ewart. Peter Ewart is a seismic and expansion project that was approved to increase the capacity from 625 to 900 students. The district is contributing $1 million towards this project. The project is substantially complete. There is some work that will be completed this summer that has been paused until then, just not to disrupt some of the school things like some of the HVAC and the gym work will all be done in July, but most of the big stuff has been done on that. So the ministry had allocated a maximum funding envelope of $38.8 million. You can see that the funding that was approved for that was 32.5. This is pictures of the courtyard that had to be redone with the work that was done in there on your left. And then on the right is the updated learning commons in that school. So a lot of the place got a good refresh and an update through this process. The Langley Secondary School expansion was another addition that has started, adding 300 seats to that school, bringing it up to 1,100 students. Once again, the district will be contributing to that project as well, $1 million. The ministry has so far approved 25.2 million of the maximum funding available for it of $28.9 million. This one is just getting underway. The excavation for it and the footing work has just started, and a lot of that will get going more this summer and will be completed in August of 2026. Josette Dandran, brand new elementary school for 555 students with up to 80 childcare spaces, is on schedule for this September. Maximum funding envelope on that one was $51.9 million, and the ministry has approved us to spend 42.4 of that at this point in time. Project's moving along very nicely. The exterior is 95% complete. All the roofing is complete and painting is ongoing. The exterior work is about 75% complete. We are targeting occupancy August 22nd, which is a week ahead of schedule. So originally it was the day of school opening. So we bought ourselves a week. Just some pictures of what the school looks like currently. Some work on the exterior that's happening, and then a few more. One being look at from the top of the field down in the top right corner, and then just one of the classrooms. Looks changes every time. Beautiful school. Exciting for it to be opening for that community this fall. Nickelmeckle Elementary is our second modular project in the district. So that was approved for 8 classrooms to add 200 seats to that school. It's moving along very well. All the concrete and framework has been done. The first and second floors have both been delivered and are on site. They are preparing the walkway that goes between the existing school and the modular. And then some of the outdoor play area that needs to be replaced will be sent out for tender later this month. This is a concept of what the school will look like on completion. So the modular on the right, obviously, with a breezeway on the first story connecting to the existing school. This modular will have a full functioning elevator because the school originally is only a 1-story building. So, and the way it fit, it worked better just to put a breezeway with a full functioning elevator. This is it a week and a half ago. The giant Lego blocks on your right coming in with the modular and a couple of them stacked together on your left. It's gone extremely well, and looking forward to that site opening. Smith Middle and Secondary School. We have a joint site there with 2 schools on it. Secondary school for 1,900, the middle school for 900. Both are targeted for opening in September of 2027. We have a very ambitious timeline on this project. It will be the fastest built project in BC, and it is the largest funded project in BC for a school district in the history of education. So we are on track to submit our building permit June 30th, and looking forward to that and getting going on that school. This is the conceptual layout with the secondary school being the larger school up at the top right, and the middle school being the smaller one on the left. And with hope of some play space in the back. And that's kind of the layout. Not completely finalized, but that's where we stand with that project right now. Lynn Fripps is our third modular project in the building for 6 classrooms, 150 students. This one's not quite as far along as Nickelmack, that was awarded afterwards. The concrete foundations have been put in place, and the first delivery of the modulars are expected June 27th. It is on schedule to also be completed in August, so that we will have this opening also in September. Part of the project is some additional parking and some playground spaces as well. And this is what the conceptual drawing of the Lynn Fripps modular. You can see the modular to the right. It is adjoined to the building, so you can access the first and second floor from the existing building. And the footings you can see there as it prepares to receive the modular buildings that will be coming later this month. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on the capital projects.
Thank you, trustees. Trustee Fox?
I'd like to say thank you to the team we have in our area of project management. And I know we've got a very diligent team. We met just a couple weeks ago. And they're working hard. It's great to have 7 projects going at this point in time, and hopefully timelines and budgets can be met. I just had one question with respect to Josette Danderan. Can you go back to that picture? There was a playground picture, and I just wanted to ask a question about the footing on that playground. It didn't look like it was complete, and which is fair given there. The one on the left, yes, Trustee Ward just pointed to it. Is that the finished footing, or is there something else that goes on top of this for a mulch? Is it a wood chip, or is it a rubberized?
In conversation with our grounds manager, he said that there's rubberized grounding for accessibility. So it's just not showing in the picture there.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Any other trustees have any questions? All right, thank you. Very exciting. Lots of new spaces on the way. Okay, so could I please have a mover that the Board of Education receives the report on capital projects 2024-25 for information as presented. Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Neufeld. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, and I'm going to pass it back to you. 8.3 5-year capital plan 2026-2027.
Thank you, Chair. Trustees will recall the 5-year capital plan was presented to you already at the Finance Facilities, where we went through it in quite detail. So just we'll be going through some of the highlights and changes for the public. Just a reminder that the capital plan submission is how we inform the ministry of the needs of the district every fiscal year. The timelines are a little different. The plan that we submit in 24-25 is for the ministry fiscal capital period of 26-27. So that's why it's the 26-27 capital plan that we're submitting now. The capital plan covers all ministry-related capital, including childcare, and districts are required to have a long-range facilities plan that is in line with the capital plan submission, and a board must submit a motion on their capital plan, and it's broken into 2 sections. The major capital, which is due at the end of this month, which is here for approval tonight, and the minor capital, which is due in September and will be brought back to trustees for the September public board meeting. Part of the process is the ministry asks us to acknowledge some of the past approved status of projects. RE Mountain was approved for a business case for a 12 classroom addition. That business case is completed and is with the ministry, and they acknowledge that it is now with them waiting for funding approvals, which could happen at any point in time. The plan for this year hasn't changed a lot compared to last year, other than updating some of the amounts because there was no funding or business cases announced for the district this year. But wanted to go through a couple of the additions that we've added. We've put in a couple new modulars in areas that are starting to grow and need some space. So we added the capital plan, capital project just updated on LSS. We've done that. We're now seeing that Stafford is going to need some additional capacity. So we've put in for a modular classroom at Stafford for 12 classrooms. Betty Gilbert, we've put in for 8 classrooms, and Douglas Park for 6 classrooms as well. So those are all new requests for modulars with the previous asks for Donna Gabriel and Willoughby Elementary. On the sites, the only 2 new additions and changes are the amount of land and the 2 parks for 2 sites that we currently own, with Southwest Latimer that we just purchased and Gordon, previously known as Jericho. Those are areas that are owned by the township right now, but they've stopped that joint plan. So we've put in an ask. Hopefully township will reconsider. But if we don't put in the asks, then there's no way for us to get funding for those sites. So we've put those in for the fields for those 2 sites that we actually own the sites for the building already. And we've increased the land asks for all the other sites to accommodate fields if the district has to do those. Excuse me. The new builds are all the same projects from last year, just the dollar amounts have been updated. So with that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, trustees. Any questions? No? Okay. Could I please have a mover for the recommended motion that in accordance with provisions under section 142(4) of the Local School Act, the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley hereby approves the proposed 5-year capital plan, major capital programs for 2026-27 as provided on the attached major 5-year capital plan summary for 2026-27 to be submitted to the Ministry of Education and Childcare. Do I have a mover? Moved by trustee Fox, seconded by trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. 8.4, 3-year financial plan. Back over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Just another reminder to trustees, this financial 3-year plan was already shared at the finance facilities meeting. There is a requirement now from the ministry for districts to do a 3-year financial plan, very high level, but to kind of get an idea of where the finances and the planning of the district are headed over the time frame. So staff have put that package together. There's a very detailed report in your package that we will now put with the preliminary budget and also go up on our webpage once the board hopefully approves that tonight. So I just wanted to go over a couple of quick highlights of that plan. The first column is what was already approved tonight in the 3rd reading of the 25-26 preliminary budget. And then the 26, 27, and 27 and 28 are based on estimates of enrollment growth and teachers that need to be, as well as other positions to support that growth. A big component of that is increased benefit costs, and things that continue to hit the district that are inflating our cost and their pressures on our budget. You can see that our $1.5 million deficit grows to $4.3 million in year 2 and just over $6 million in year 3. When we look at our accumulated surplus, we do have the funds to balance the 26-27 estimate, assuming obviously that there's no further surpluses this fiscal year or in 25-26. It's in 27-28 where we find that we have a shortfall of $3.9 million. The $2.862 million for school generated funds. Those are funds that are in our schools that the board doesn't touch. They are there for accounting purposes, but they're not funds that we can move. We do have a board policy of the unrestricted amount of the $5.35 million. Our policy states that we should have a contingency reserve of 1.5 to 4%. The $5.35 million is currently at 1.7%. We could balance the budget in year 3 by using those funds, but our board policy does require the board to replenish those funds to the minimum of the 1.5 over the next 2 budget years. So that does create some pressures for the district going forward. And with that, I will hand it back to you for any questions.
Trustees, any questions from you? Okay, Trustee Ward.
Thank you through the chair to Secretary Treasurer. So I think you said there's a range with respect to the contingency fund and we're at 1.7%, something like that. What would you project or estimate to be like the ideal, the optimal contingency?
For a district of our size, I think we're in that ballpark right now at 1.7, 1.75, I think is a fair amount. It sounds like a lot of money at $5.35 million, but it's only less than 2% of our budget. I do know that other districts are starting to have to dip into that, and those amounts are starting to dwindle in the province and getting to the lower ends of the ranges. So.
Out of curiosity, having those funds, we just have to have them set aside, or are we able to have them in a place with respect to investment? Or is that governed by the ministry where it's not really in the bank giving us interest or anything of that sort?
No, all those funds are in bank earning some form of interest. Yeah. Staff are working on looking at how we invest some of those money to see if we can increase some of those rates. We have been using the central deposit system through the ministry, but those rates have declined and there are better ways to invest the funds. So.
Thank you. Any other trustees have any questions, comments? No? Right. Could I please have a mover that the Board of Education approves the 3-year financial plan? There's a typo there, 2 years. 3-year financial plan as presented. Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right. We've got a lot on your we still got 2 more pages to go for you. I'll pass this back over to you, Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you, Chair. In your package is a bylaw for DW Poppy. It's a covenant bylaw. Trustees will recall we connected to the city sewer system out there through our minor capital project over a couple of years. There is a requirement for a covenant to be registered on that because of the connection to the city or the township main. And per the act, any change or restriction on property is a deemed type of like a disposal, but it's not a disposal, but it forces a bylaw by the board as there's a restriction on that land. So that bylaw is in your package tonight for all three readings.
Thank you. Any questions before we start? Trustee Fox?
Period of time.
It's a one-time deal.
One time? Thank you.
Any other trustees? No? Oh, trustee Neufeld.
Are we off the septic field then?
Yeah, the septic field is made decommissioned.
Okay, and is there, are we gonna use that space for anything in particular, more fields?
It was already used as a field that had the septic underneath it.
Maybe are we gonna be able to improve the field then, or is there thought on that?
There's been no further plans. We've done work on that field. There are limitations to the field.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So trustees, we have all three readings. Oh, sorry, trustee Fox, or sorry, trustee Ward. Did you're okay? Okay. We have all three readings before us this evening, so bear with me as we go through these. Could I please first have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, DW Poppy Secondary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 be given first reading? Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, could I please have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, DW Poppy Secondary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 be given second reading? Moved by trustee Fox, seconded by trustee Neufeld. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, could I please have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley unanimously approves having all three readings of DW Poppy Secondary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 at tonight's meeting? Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Then our last motion on this, could I please have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, DW Poppy Secondary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 be given third reading, passed and adopted on the 17th day of June 2025. I have a mover, moved by trustee Ward, seconded by a trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Great, thank you. Now we're moving on to 8.6, Len Fripp's Covenant Bylaw.
Thank you, Chair. Keep this one brief. It's similar to the DW Puppy one. As part of the modular addition to Len Fripp's, required a pump station, and we require a covenant for that, and the bylaw is in your package.
Any questions from trustees before we start? All right, so we as well have three readings before us this evening. Could I please have a mover for the first recommended motion that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, Lynn Fripp's Elementary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 be given first reading? Moved by trustee Ward, seconded by trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, could I have a mover, please, that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley, Lynn Fripp's Elementary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 be given second reading? Moved by trustee Dickinson, seconded by trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Could I now have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley unanimously approves having all three readings of Lynn Fripp's Elementary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 at tonight's meeting? Moved by trustee Fox, seconded by trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? All right, show of hands, please. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. I did just say all 3 ratings, correct? I'm questioning myself now. There's so many of these. Okay, so we have our last motion on this item. Could I please have a mover that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley Lynn Fripps Elementary School Sanitary Pump System Covenant Bylaw 2025 be given 3rd reading, passed, and adopted on the 17th day of June 2025. Moved by trustee Fox, seconded by trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, moving on to our almost last item, but last item for you, Secretary Treasurer, is the 8.7 school site acquisition charge, SSAC. I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Board Chair. This was also shared with trustees at the Finance and Facilities meeting, and we made no changes to this since we brought that to you. But just to recap, school site acquisition charges are required under the Local Government Act. Districts are required to have a school site acquisition charge if they're requesting sites in their 5-year capital plan. The point of that charge is to collect funds, which is done through the municipalities from development to assist to pay for the sites for needs for new schools. The district holds these funds in a land capital account and then contributes to the purchase of the land with whatever's in those accounts when ministry approves site acquisitions. This is now required to be done annually, even if there are no changes in the rate, which is what applies to this district, as we've been at the max rate allowed for a number of years already. So the process is done with township and the city, where they provide the total number of estimated units in a 10-year planning horizon. We use those numbers with representative samples that we have collected through the district with actual students that have come out of similar developments to project the number of students that we anticipate coming out of all that development. Based on those conversations, we talk with the municipalities on sites that we need. These will look familiar, as you saw most of them in our 5-year capital plans. So those sites total 60 acres and $390 million that is anticipated to be need during the 10-year planning horizon that we have for the school site acquisition charge. From that, there's a formula that is been there for many, many, many years. The original intent was to collect 35% of that, which isn't adequate. As you can see, using the low density as an example, the school site acquisition charge based on the units, students, and the cost of the sites would need to be $7,211, and the cap is $1,000. So it's now 7 times what we could do to charge the maximum, which was intended to cover 35% of the site. So the steps, the board has to approve the eligible school sites. Once that happens, the municipalities are then informed, and they have 60 days to either accept or reject the eligible school sites. We also submit our 5-year capital plan, which then the ministry approves our school site acquisition charge when they send us our capital plan response letter in March of every year. After which the board then has to do a bylaw to update the rates, which there would be no change, but we still need to do the bylaw, and we would inform the township of the new bylaw and the rates which they would already be charging. So that's the process and the motion that's in your package for you tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Neufeld, you had a question?
Yes, Secretary Treasurer Isley, are you able to go back to where it's single family townhome, row home condo? I just want to point out that the SSACs, while was good and I think when it first came out, yeah. I just don't agree with the, I can't remember what the method that they use to find out the eligible students per unit, but condo, if you see 9,600 with 980 eligible students, I find that one hard to believe that with housing prices the way they're going, and especially in Langley, how we're starting to build a little bit higher, I'm gonna assume to say that there'll be more eligible students coming out of condos than what they have, than what they predict here.
So, just in our estimates based on the samples that we have currently, that sample volume has been going up year over year, but it's still a very small sample. We check that every year. So, do I think that's going to go up over time? Absolutely. To what level? I have no idea. Other municipalities have seen that happen, especially as SkyTrain has entered in those kind of areas.
Yeah.
So I do anticipate, but basically we can only plan on the things that we know right now.
Yep. Thank you
And
very
these numbers don't include a lot of the work that's being done on the 2040 plan or any of it. So that's where a lot of that numbers would change.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Trustee Ward.
Secretary Treasurer, I've made these comments before, but it seems like quite the song and dance to get very little value out of it. I'm just curious I understand that's the provincial government and this is what they want us to do and 59 other districts. And I'm just wondering what expense, like obviously I'm for funding for schools, obviously township and city taxpayers have to contribute, but this money is directed in an interesting way. How much staff time is required and cost to do this dance of numbers versus having it entirely funded by the province instead of going through this system? Like seems like an elaborate, like it takes us a fair amount of time, does it not?
It does take a fair amount of time, but we need that information to be able to build our capital plan anyways. Because without knowing how many units are being developed, an estimate of how many students we need to accommodate, we would not be able to build a very good 5-year capital plan.
Trustee Fox.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Again, through you to Secretary Treasurer Isley, it looks like if you look at the township of Langley, primarily, that the majority of students that are going to be arriving in our schools are going to come from townhouses, significantly greater than single-family detached homes. That's a significant transition from past, and I'm talking past being 20, 25 years ago, where most students came from single detached homes, and now it's into the townhouse and, as Trustee Neufeld alluded to, the condos. So interesting transition there. Question about school site acquisition charge. I guess if we extrapolate, there's going to come a point in time when the term acquisition may not refer, we may come to a point where the acquisition of land is not necessary. It may be a long way down the road, but would that money, if we didn't have to acquire land and we didn't have land site applications in our 5-year plan, would that end the school site acquisition charge on dwellings, or could we use that for school site development, which would include projects like modular, for example, which isn't an acquisition of land, but it's an acquisition of building?
School site acquisition can only be used for site purchases, and if the demand for sites would go down, so would our school site acquisition charge.
So it'd be.
Okay, any other questions, trustees? Okay, seeing no other questions, could I please have a mover that the Board of Education approves the eligible school sites as presented? Moved by Trustee Dickinson. Do a seconder? Seconder? Oh, Trustee Fox. Great. Seconded by Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Right, 9, new business. We didn't have any new business this evening. So I will move along to trustee work reports, number 10. Any trustees have any, should I start maybe just in, okay, trustee Newfeld.
Yeah, on Friday, June 13th, I attended what was they're calling the Big Bash in North Otter. It was a fundraiser for an accessible playground. I'm not sure if they reached their goal. Maybe somebody in the audience knows. But anyways, it was a good evening. It was quite busy. And then I also want to just say that we've got graduations coming up. We get to, we're lucky enough where we get to speak at them. It's, I try and keep it as short as possible. Nobody wants to listen to what we have to say, but it's truly an honor to be there and to see all of the students' hard work. So.
Thank you. Trustee Fox.
Yeah, thank you. And I double that. I've got to go tomorrow night to Aldergrove, and I know that Deputy Superintendent Bradford is eagerly anticipating my spellbinding speech. So I'll keep it short, but it'll just keep him on the edge of his seat, I'm sure. But having said that, our Secretary of Treasurer Isley is disappointed he's not invited, but we'll keep it just between the two of us. I have this past 2 weeks had the opportunity to do a number of student capstone presentations, and I have to tell you, listening to the grade 12 students, and I particularly do the AVID program ones because of my involvement with the program. It's actually 20 years ago that we implemented that program in our in LSS and in Aldergrove Secondary, and I am amazed at some of the journeys that these students have gone through, and they aren't just smooth journeys. Some of them have overcome a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges in getting there, but the pride that they instilled in their presentations and developing it and presenting to someone who they've never met before was really quite amazing, and I just love that part of the job, going out and listening to their stories. So it's one of the nice kind of end of the year, grade 12, end of the year assets of being on a trustee. So thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Trustee Fox. Trustee Ward, did you have anything you wanted to report? You don't have to, but okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo some of the comments already made. Just end of the year opportunity for us as trustees to be part of, even though we are maybe speaking for a moment, but to be part of these wonderful graduation ceremonies. So that's I'm looking forward to that myself, actually tomorrow night and the next week. And something to report on just on my own experience with my daughter's school, Langley Fundamental Secondary School. So they had, for I think it was just grade 7s who did their entrepreneur fair sale for about an hour or 2 hours. I think it was 2.25 hours, and it's just neat to see all the different entrepreneurial stuff that's going on in the district, and in particular with my daughter's school. And I'm just was thrilled to see all the different ideas the kids came up with. Some of them had very similar themes, like making candles and making various other things, but a lot of these kids are making some decent money. So Langley is going to have some good entrepreneurs as some of these kids age out of our school system and straight into business. So anyway, it was very, very exciting, and just want to wish everybody a great graduation and great summer.
Trustee Dickinson.
I'll echo the comments on graduation. I got to speak at Vanguard in Brookswood, and it was amazing. Big congratulations to all the kids out there that are graduating this year, and happy summer break, everybody. It's well deserved for all of our staff and students. So go forth and enjoy your summers.
Thank you. So yeah, we've had a busy month, and it's actually been a short time between our last board meeting and this one. But we had our budget open house on June the 3rd, and we were inundated with lots of people coming. Just kidding. We'd love to see more next year. We were a little lonely. So, but it was fun who we had, but yeah. Yeah. So we did have that. And hopefully maybe we can brainstorm to get more people here next year, but so we had we had our pancake breakfast for the school board office, which is always great fun to take part in. And I was joined by some of my fellow trustees, as well as I managed to bring my husband along, so that was great. So that was fun. We also had our district retirement and service recognition awards the other night, which is always an honor to take part. And some really amazing people are honored that evening, whether they're retiring or getting their 20 or 30-year awards. And actually our own assistant superintendent, Marcello Molino, was given a 30-year award. So congratulations to you and thank you. So, but thank you to everyone, of course, but I have to mention it because you're here tonight. And then also trustees, we were invited to something that I just wanted to mention that I'm hoping is going to be on again next year because I want to go again. It was called Pulse, an evening of taiko drumming and anime music, and it was put on by both Belmont Elementary School and Brookswood Secondary Schools. Belmont had their taiko drummers as well as their recorder honor ensemble, and I had no idea that recorders could actually sound okay. They did an amazing job. Seriously, they were so good. It was great. So, and then the Brookswood secondary students, so that Kanata Soranaka, I hope I say her name correctly, is the Belmont Elementary School music teacher, and she just did an amazing job with those students. And then the Brookswood secondary music teacher, Derek Turi, had their percussion ensemble there, and that was very cool too. I'm not sure I actually have ever heard a percussion ensemble. So, and then they finished off the evening with, it's called Sancho Deco, which is a semi-professional Vancouver-based taiko group, which music teacher Kanata Soranaka is actually a part of. And it was incredible. I've never actually ever heard them, and I would love to see them again. And then they completely surprised me as they were performing and dancing out in the audience, and they came and grabbed me, and it was completely out of my comfort zone. And they brought me up on stage and I had to play the drums. So once I got up there, I got a little bit more comfortable, and it was so much fun. And so, but anyways, it was just such a great evening. So just wanted to shout out to those teachers and students who just put on an amazing evening, and I look forward to hopefully going again next year. Oh, yeah.
Chair Ashton, can I finish with one capstone story? I think this will blow people away. So I was interviewing a student at Oldego Secondary, and he'd gone through his capstone presentation, and he was going into finance and wanted to be a stockbroker. And he had all this information about different types of stocks and trading and so on and so forth. And so he said, well, I've gotten into day trading. And I thought, oh, day trading, that's a bit of an interesting thing. Yes, he says, I get up about 5 o'clock in the morning and I go onto the New York Stock Exchange and I trade and so on. And he goes on, and I said to him, well, have you had any successes? He said, yes, I've made $190,000. I went, oh. And his buddy next door verified that that's what he's made in grade 12 doing day trading, getting up in the morning. I think I'm in the wrong business. I just figured that out.
Watch out, Brian.
All right, we're moving on to the end of our agenda here, question period. Bear with me, please, while I read this out. Question period is provided at board meetings. The purpose is to ensure that those present in the audience have an opportunity to obtain clarification concerning business conducted during that meeting. Priority will be given to responding to one question per person before considering further questions from any individual. The following will help develop the public develop questions for question period. at a board meeting that is keeping with the goal of a respectful and focused meeting. Questions need to be directed to the chair and not to staff, need to be related directly to the topic on the agenda, need to be succinct, focused, and not be a statement, may not be asked that are related to personnel or directed at an individual trustee, may not be asked that are related to contract negotiations, and the questioner shall provide their name so that it can be reflected in the minutes. All of the above are directions provided for in board policy number 7, board operations. The chair may answer, may defer to staff, or indicate a question may not be in keeping with the above guidelines. The board appreciates the public's interest and wants to ensure a professional meeting is conducted with question period focused on providing guests with the clarification they seek. Trustees also welcome questions from members of the public apart from question period. Our contact information is available on the school district website. Do you have any questions? No? Well, that was a lot of reading for no questions. I thought for sure maybe Neil would. Oh, all right. All right, then can I please have a mover that the meeting be adjourned at 8:35 p.m. Moved by Trustee Ward, seconded by Trustee Fox. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Well.